All right, welcome back to GDC 2022 with Incredibuild. I'm Jim Schultz, I'm the head of community at Incredibuild, and I'm here this afternoon, or is it still morning?
Still morning.
It's still
Definitely
morning.
still morning.
With my new friend Royal O'Brien, who I got to meet a few days ago and hang out with some already, with Linux Foundation. So do you want to do a quick intro?
Sure.
Tell us who you are, what you do there.
So my name is Royal O'Brien. I'm the general manager of digital media and games over at the Linux Foundation, and I'm also the executive director of the Open3D Foundation.
Awesome. And Open3D, I just saw, I was at the Amazon keynote yesterday, and they were talking about some of the stuff that Linux Foundation is doing with Amazon on AWS. What can you tell us about Open3D Engine? What is it, and why should everybody be super excited about it?
So the Open3D Engine it's something we worked on quite a bit over at Amazon. And what it was taking kind of an engine that had been, a lot of AAA titles were built on, and taking that engine and kind of modularizing it. And this is a complete solution from end to end, but turning it into modules and then actually making sure it had the permissive licensing so that it can be brought to open source, so that anybody can use it. So now we have this complete end-to-end AAA class, Apache and MIT licensed software that's on GitHub that anybody can get today. But it's in kind of a different scenario where we're not just focusing on open source where everything is open source tools. There's an ecosystem behind it. We have a lot of different companies that are some of our premier partners and general partners, and they help support the project. They contribute engineering and funds, and more importantly, it has the type of model where they can put their projects into this and support it without having to pull away from their licensing. So in other words, kind of like you can use all of the Open3D project from start to finish in every piece of it. But if there's something like you want to use Incredibuild, or you want to use side effects, well, companies don't want to give up their intellectual property and put that into open source, but they want it to work with the engine. So we put together kind of a balanced ecosystem that allows companies and community to both work together to contribute to this project, to build this open engine that anybody can build on, but also have all of the support of some of the greatest tools that are used in every other engine. And so that's kind of a lot of what we've done. And when we talk about an end-to-end solution, this is something that we're talking about that has the build system, that has the animation system, network, rendering, physics, all the elements that you need, and the editor and packaging. And so you'll find in open source there are a lot of pieces out there, but they don't really work all together. And so that's the hardest part, is to find something where I can just build and begin. And then on top of it, you've got to find something that's actually cross-platform. So not everybody's building a Windows game. People are also building games on Mac. They're building mobile games. So it supports Windows, Mac, iOS, Linux, Android, consoles. So having that kind of support means they can build a game once and have it exported out to different platforms, which is really important because you don't want to have them limits. And we have customers that are actually doing that. Or actually groups, not really customers, because we don't have customers in open source. We have people that basically just use the code and contribute to it.
Free customers.
Yeah, free customers. So, and that's really what it's about. Open source is about sharing and collaboration. That's the biggest thing about it. And the big difference when it comes to an engine is that if you're trying to build an engine, it can take years to bring that thing up to parity, where it can at least be usable to make a good game on. So now we have the baseline of an engine that has been matured, has had millions of titles shipped on it, and then it's been rewritten modular so that you don't have to know every single piece to work on it, and then be able to build something. But the velocity of a company is only limited by the number of people that are hired to work on that engine, and it's a lot of money to do it.
Right.
Open source is different. Somebody may love graphics. They'll want to work on that piece. Somebody may like shaders. Somebody might like networking. So it allows the community to come in and contribute alongside these companies and have that support. So the biggest problem with an open source project is that if you don't have enough people that are engineers to check it in and to do kind of maintainers, it's a big problem. You'll turn around and do a PR for code, it'll sit in a queue for a year.
Right.
You see what I mean? But by having all of these companies and engineers involved and the community, people can actually contribute code and it will go into mainline fast.
Right.
And they can be a part of it. And people who actually do a lot of these, they can contribute, and as they build up all their contributions, they can become maintainers. So that's one of the big differences here on how you work an open source project on something this big.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw that they shared yesterday the list of a lot of the companies that are involved in supporting this project. Very impressive list. I mean, most of the big names on there as well. But what about if I'm an individual contributor and not involved with one of these big companies?
Right.
I can get involved too, or
Absolutely.
how do they do that?
So to get involved, one of the fastest ways to do it, you can go to the website, o3de.org, or you can go to Discord. So instead of doing this kind of in just messaging boards, we use Discord, and that allows people to communicate right away. And everything is broken up into special interest groups. So we have special interest group for graphics and audio, for network, for build, for core. So you can find the discipline that you want to be in, go into Discord, it's discord.gg/o3de. And when you go in there, there's a lot happening. There's a couple thousand people in there, about 500-600 online at any point in time. And if you ask a question, you're going to get an answer really, really fast. But they'll point you to videos, they'll point you to Reddit. There's a whole YouTube channel that's been spreading so much information and how to do things. And it's kind of going wildfire. But that's the key, is that when somebody wants to start building something, yes, they'll research it. But if they can come to a place to find answers quickly, that's a big part. That's what's allowed us to grow 12-fold in our first 6 months.
Wow.
Is that people could talk to actual other people. And when you're talking to them, it's not like you'll be talking to somebody else in the community, but you may also wind up talking to an Amazon engineer or someone from Intel or Microsoft or Niantic, Huawei, or Side Effects. You don't know who you'll see in there. You may wind up talking to somebody who's actually supporting this from the companies,
right,
and getting straight information for people who commit continuously into this project.
That's so good. Yeah, gaming is such a passionate community anyway. I mean, as evidenced here today, right? I mean, or this week, so great to see everybody back out and talking to everyone, meeting great people like you. So that's so exciting. Yeah, I'll share these links too with everybody so they can find Open3D Engine, find Linux Foundation, find out how to get involved, find the Discord, all that stuff. I'll put that in the description of the video that we share out as well.
I really appreciate. That's definitely very helpful. And I think one other question I always notice that comes up, people always ask, is this a competitive to all of the other engines that are out there? And the answer to that is no, it's not competitive.
And I did ask you that before we started, but I didn't want to put you on the spot.
Right, no, it's okay, because it is a question, right? People are asking, well, you've got Unity and Unreal, is this a competitor to them? But remember that this is open source. It is about sharing and collaboration, and because it's modular, somebody could take the network stack right out of O3DE, wrap it up and get it to work with Unity, and there you go. And there's no license issues, you literally just go and take it, or if they want to take the renderer. So it can actually augment a lot of the different tools that are out there. I mean, people aren't like, oh, do I use Blender or Maya or 3ds? So, it's a matter of using the tools that you want. And we really tell everybody, no matter what engine you're using, take the tools, use them. If it works, fantastic. If you find a bug or you have something neat to add to it, please do. But it's not really a competition. It's really about sharing and collaboration for the tools that you want to use to build.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's kind of an anti-open source to even talk about competition, right? It's all about community and contribution.
That's exactly it.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for sharing all of that with us. And I do have one more question for you. And I did give you a little bit of a hint what it would be before we started. But I want you to share with us now one of your favorite gaming memories. So it could be something from when you were 8 years old or something that happened last week. But
oh gosh, so let's see. I've got a lot of them, but I guess one of my more favorite ones that I had was so I had a company when I was in my 20s, and we were doing a lot of IT sales and support and things like that. But one of the cool things back then is that we had a 48-port 10100 switch in the network, in the company, over the office. And we would have all the employees at 5 o'clock shut down and start playing Quake. And we played Team Fortress, Capture the Flag. And it was, everybody is you're very professional, you're very courteous. And at 5 o'clock, the beer comes out, the trash talking begins, and it's just pure mayhem. And then if it's a Friday, those that were married, they had to come up with really good excuses, because then we would have other friends that would come in, and it would be like an all weekender, just 24/7. People would be drinking balls, guarana, and all the coffee, and just going, and it was awesome, because the camaraderie you had of playing face to face. I mean, I can remember we had my 4-man team that was in my office, and we would play in there, and we would smash another team, run down the hallway, talk all the trash, then go out front, talk more trash, and then get ready for the next bracket.
Yeah.
And so I would say that's probably, between that and working on some of the games, I helped work on with Prey, on doing some of the pieces with that, troubleshooting network problems and multiplayer. Those were really cool, great memories of making an impact where people are I want to play multiplayer across the internet, but I can't because it keeps killing itself every second.
Right.
solving it, and then you're like, oh, this is amazing. Like I can play upside down, I can go after things. So the game industry, it's one of those things that if you love it all the way. Yeah. There's just no half-stepping.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I feel very lucky to be involved in any way, even indirectly, in the gaming industry. And by the way, my gaming memory too is very similar to yours. We had same thing, end of the day, every day, but it was Half-Life deathmatch for us. And I still tell my kids about some of the kills that I made in Half-Life. Like, oh, you should see what I did back here.
Oh, that's the best. I'd say one of the best memories that wasn't necessarily mine was my son. So I used to take him out to the little LAN party centers, and I had him. He was playing on a machine. He's like 5 years old. So I gave him the name 5V, which my background in the Marine Corps, 5V being center target. So I called him 5V. We're running around playing. I think it was Team Fortress, right? No, Counter-Strike. It was an early version of Counter-Strike.
Okay.
And he would take a scout and he would hide up somewhere in a perch, and he would just sit there, and people would go by and he'd plink him in the head. And this one guy, after like maybe 10 minutes, jumps up, throws his car. Who the heck is 5V? And he's like, and I look over and I go, and I point to my son. Everybody in the place starts howling at him because he's getting ripped up by this 5-year-old, which was amazing. So.
Awesome. Well, Royal, thank you again very much. I'm so glad we got to meet this week. I look forward to keeping in touch and a long working relationship with you as well. And enjoy the rest of the show here at GDC.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
All right.